Globally, shellfish production has increased by 20%. Unfortunately for British Columbia, our production has gone down by 20%. Oysters really are impacted in a big way by climate change. We have these two stresses. Ocean acidification, which is where the CO2 is being absorbed by the ocean, lowering the pH and preventing the shellfish from being able to build their shell, their calcium carbonate shell. As well as these marine heat waves, which are incredibly stressful to the oysters. You know, they're not used to having rapid changes in their temperature. It disrupts their metabolism and then makes them more susceptible to disease. One of the things that we're doing at Vancouver Island University is trying to really understand how do oysters adapt to these changes, and then using that knowledge to breed better strains of shellfish for our local industry. I grew up on the ocean. I had the chance to do oyster farming as a high school student, and I absolutely loved it. And from that day on, I always wanted to be an oyster farmer. My parents told me to go off to university, where I discovered you could actually do fish farming and aquaculture, and I've never looked back.
We'll go do the magic.
So we're really trying to make the shellfish industry sustainable. We have what we call a pedigree breeding program. We create lots and lots of pair-mated, single mum, single dad family. It's like a big pedigree tree. So every single oyster in the program has got a little tag that's adhered to the outside of the shell that allows us to understand who's its parents, as well as who's its steps and brothers and sisters, and its aunts and cousins, etc. And then those animals are placed out in the field, and every couple of months we take measurements, record if it's alive or dead, as well as its growth rate, its shell shape, its shell color. And then we also do sieve testing, where we will take individuals from out of the family and do a disease challenge or ocean acidification challenge to see how that family performs. So it's a huge amount of data that we generate to actually assess, does that oyster have the correct genes? And then we make crosses based on their estimated breeding value, create a fast-growing, high-surviving oyster for our industry.
We'll put 1 million eggs into each tank, and then we add the sperm to fertilize. That works out to roughly about 4 larvae per milliliter.
We're really interested in trying to take the knowledge that we've learnt and apply that to scallops. We also want to understand, how ocean acidification and marine heat waves are impacting other species such as clams. Again, we have a very long history of clam farming. The First Nation communities have been doing this for thousands of years. We want to understand, how does those systems, as well as combining maybe some improved genetics, can get a resurgence in clam farming on our coastline.
Today we made 12 million baby scallops. We expect about 80% of those to fertilize, what we call hatch, and become little free-swimming larvae.
I'm really excited to say that, when I arrived 6 years ago, 4 out of every 5 oysters succumbed to mortality before harvest. We've now managed to get that mortality rate down to 20%. So that's worth millions and millions of dollars to our local economies.
So to help the oysters get in the mood for spawning, is there a certain type of music you play?
The more we're learning is we've actually just started to discover that oysters actually can hear. And so, yeah, we keep it nice and quiet now in the hatchery, whereas once upon a time we did play our rock and roll and have a lot of fun. We're starting to realize that no, actually, they listen.